Hi friends, how are you? Welcome back to a Patreon bonus. If you cannot hear, I really hope you can't. Construction outside, my apologies. I'm gonna try and edit it as much as I can in post. But at the moment, probably for the next 6 months, at least I have no choice when filming during the day because there is a construction zone right outside my window. So if you can't hear, good for you. Which is why I've been recording all my main channel videos at night. So today I am answering your Q&A questions. I let you guys ask me whatever you want, completely anonymously. So I thought you guys would go a little bit hard. And some of you have asked very particular questions. I am maybe gonna beat around the bush, but no, I'll try and answer them because I do know what it feels like to follow someone, watch their videos, and just really be curious about one thing and don't wanna ask them or offend them in some way, which is why I made this. So I'm not gonna beat around the bush for most of these ones. If they're funny, I will, but I'm gonna try and name names if you've asked a particular question or just give you as much detail as possible because, of course, this is our Patreon and everything here stays sacred to us, it stays secret, and let's just jump in, man. Let's jump in and get started because I have 54 questions. If I can't answer them all in, I've got 40 minutes left on my memory card, and if I'm recording for more than 40 minutes, like that's just too long, I feel like, for you guys. So if it is longer than that, I will break it into part 1 and part 2. So let's see how far I can get through them. Okay, number 1, Bicky or Spud? There can only be one. I think you mean Bicky as in, the way you've written it kind of looks like bikey. I think you mean like a biscuit. Potato for sure for me. I'm more of a savory girl than a sweet girl. If you had to guess, what do you think your viewers' biggest misconception about you as a person is? I'm not too sure. I would love to know what you guys think about me because if I had to guess, maybe that I'm quite a loud person. I'm really shy. I'm just I'm a really personal, I don't share much things on social media. I don't really have a social media outside of Spooky Astronauts. And like I have a Facebook, but I hardly ever post on there. I'm quite a shy person. If any of you guys met me in real life, I would put myself out there, but usually I'm very shy and I don't talk a lot to strangers, definitely not at all, but in group situations, I'm definitely the more quiet person. I'm also not someone who will come up to anyone and start talking about movies. I feel like having this outlet, I don't talk about movies a lot to anyone, believe it or not. People ask me all the time because they know that I do this, but I don't really share my passion with much people because I have this platform to do that now. So I don't know if that answers your question. Any weird rituals you do in your daily life that others may find odd? No, I mean, coffee, is that weird? No. Everyone knows I like baths. Maybe you don't know, the person asking this. Yes, I have a lot of baths and I love having a bath, setting a candle, and watching a movie or a TV show and that, but I don't think that's too odd. I don't think I have anything that's very odd. No, nothing is like day to day for me. Everything always changes depending on what I have on that day, so there's no routine I'm really set in. Although now I'm going to the gym and I'm just like sitting there with my phone on the on like the treadmill and like watching frenemies. I think that's a little bit odd, but yeah, it's not daily. If you could go back in time and change anything about your past, what would that be? I know the whole don't change anything because there's a reason you get to where you are, blah, blah. But for me, I definitely feel like I wasted a lot of my, it wasn't even that long, to be honest. Now I look back on it, I've been with Dean since I was like 22, so it's not really that long, but between 18 and 22, I was just dating people and just wasting all my youth, you know? I feel like I wasted a lot of my youth on like worrying about stupid shit and worrying about stupid people, and just a couple of relationships I really regret. It just didn't give me anything. I didn't learn from it. I just happened to get really lucky with Dean and ended up dating a nice person. So I think that that's probably a regret. But yeah, it is hard to name things you regret, but I definitely regret spending time or just giving energy to people who aren't going to give it back to me, or good energy back, I should say. Are there any movies you won't talk about review? When I get a lot of requests about reviewing a film and I don't review it, it's usually because I just don't have a big opinion on it. And I can't, putting myself online, I try and do videos that, you know, go for around 10 minutes long to give some substance or something different, or not like a different point of view, because I don't think that my point of view is special or always different. But if I'm not passionate about my answers or what I'm talking about, there's no real reason for me to make a whole video on it. I want to be selective and I want all of my videos to be engaging in some way or another. So I just don't add films in that I feel meh about, no matter how popular they are. Like Army of the Dead, a lot of people have a lot of opinions on that. I thought it was exactly what was going to come out. So when I saw it, it made complete sense to me. Of course, there's funny things that you can talk about in it, but for me, it didn't make a huge impact on my life. So I can't really be overly passionate about it. Films I haven't spoken about. One, I guess, is Salo. That's one I just have such a complicated, I don't have a complicated relationship, but one I just feel a little bit complicated about. I go back and forth. I don't like the film, but I've read a lot of articles and like people dissecting it, and it just doesn't click for me. So I tried to write a script about my thoughts on it, and I just couldn't get through watching it again. It's just like a really hard film to watch. And I watch some really disturbing films. Usually I totally understand like art form and all that kind of stuff, but usually I'm on the side of like, it's just a film, but this one, there's just something about it that bothers me. So I haven't made a video on that, and but this is the thing. I've had a channel for 6 years and I can't see myself stopping anytime soon. So I'm in no rush to get out those harder videos to make. Who is the sexiest male and female YouTuber? I have to say, like, I don't really watch anyone on YouTube for their sex appeal. It's not really my style. There's no one I'm really attracted to, and I would tell you, I promise. I tell you guys all the time about stars and, like actors and actresses that I like, but there's not really anyone. I watch a lot of people because they bring me comfort and they're more like friends, so I don't really see them that way. I'm sorry, it is not juicy, but I promise I would tell you if I found someone attractive. I don't, I'm sorry. I'm trying to think of someone. Yeah, I just don't get that kind of enjoyment out of it. But, I'm not here to yak your yum. Has anyone asked you a too risque question in this Q&A? They said risky, but I love saying risque. No, not so far, but let's see. What does Spooky Astronaut, I promise I will answer everything as well. I'm not going to cut anything out. What does Spooky Astronauts do for her day job? I work with guide dogs. So I do the marketing for guide dogs here in Western Australia where I live. Yeah, it's a really cool job. I do that for 3 days a week and do the spooky stuff otherwise. But the spooky stuff doesn't really fund my lifestyle. It doesn't, I don't really take much money out of what I do, to be completely honest with you. I've kept all of even stuff I've earned from Patreon, I've kept that in my Patreon for almost over a year now, just to pay back on taxes or anything I need. So yeah, I don't earn much at all from doing YouTube. A lot of people assume that I do. If there's a question here, I might get into it, but I don't earn a lot at all. Definitely not enough to live off, but I mean, you asking this question, you probably know that. When are we getting the Eclipse commentary? For those who don't know, I have done Twilight commentaries for the first and second Twilight film, where I watch along with you guys and I have like a mic and I'm just reacting. The whole thing came about when we were talking on the Discord about how I'd never seen a Twilight film before, and we have some fans of Twilight, so they wanted to know what my first impression of it was. We joke about Twilight quite a lot, so yeah, I did that for my, sorry about that truck, it's so annoying. I did that for a video, and then I followed up with a second one. The third one, I probably would say by the end of the year, we'll definitely have a third one. No question, just really respect your hustle and fucking proud of you for making it through a crazy year plus personal life shit. Much love to Dean and Gromit too. Thank you so much for that message. It's very sweet of you, and yeah, it's been a really tough year for me. So I really appreciate that. Thank you so much, whoever said that. Thank you. Have you ever sat down to tape a review only to realize afterwards you didn't press record for your talk? No, but I've recorded things where I'm out of focus quite a lot because I use manual focus usually on this camera, which is my new camera. It's autofocus and it's fine. So that's more the thing. Or sound has been a bit shoddy if I haven't hooked in my, like just like wires and stupid shit if I haven't done that properly, but never not recorded, because the way DSLRs work is that they can only record for 22 or 23 minutes at a time. It's got to do with the batteries, and it's got to do with a whole lot of things that make them different from video cameras, which is, it's got to do with tax. It's a long story, but anyway, so I'm always checking how much time I have left. So I would never really forget to press record because of that. What's the biggest struggle you've been through but were able to come through the other side still fighting? To be honest, I've like gone through so much mental health stuff this year that I just don't want to think about this. But I mean, again, this is anonymous, and I get why you asked it. I've gone through a lot of disorderly eating. So that's really hard. And abuse through my family, which is really hard because I've kind of been isolated myself because of it. So that's, yeah, pretty hard. What is the movie that has given you the most amount of people spamming you to review it? I would say Tumbad. Back in the day, there's this Indian horror movie called Tumbad, and I reviewed it. And before I reviewed it, I just kept getting people asking me what I thought about this movie. And I did it for one of my 31 days of horror. I liked the film. I think I gave it a 6 out of 10, and then people were really mad at me because they thought it was the most amazing movie ever. So it's quite interesting because people often want to know what you think, but only if it's aligned with what they think. So that was one. I don't think I've had another because I usually, yeah, I really don't know other than that one. That was a really strong contender. I also had a lot of people ask me about The Empty Man because I did a review that was only on Patreon, but a lot of people just assumed I hadn't seen it, and so they were trying to tell me about it. Like, I can't believe you still haven't seen this. I'm like, oh no, I saw it last year at the cinema when everyone was in lockdown. So yeah, I mean, it did go into my top 20 of 2020. So this one's written kind of strangely, but I'm going to try and gather what it means. It says, if someone gay found to direct a horror thriller feature, what subgenre would you aim for? Alien cult, right? But I think they mean if you got to direct a horror movie or a thriller, what subgenre would you go for? Would you do? I think a cult, yeah, for sure. I think cults or either kind of witchy. I do have this idea. It's kind of like long past, but that I wanted to do in I guess like around the time where everyone was speaking about mental illness, and there was like this huge conversation. I mean, it still is, but huge conversation online, and something that kind of goes into that, but also has to do with witches. I still have this idea, and I don't want to talk about it because I could one day do it, and the way I could do it is as a YouTube video. So yeah, I don't know. There's a whole bunch of stuff I'd like to do, but yeah, all body horror, which, believe it or not, I think body horror would be a really cool one. What is something that genuinely scares you? I'm not really scared of like maybe heights, although I'm going to do this thing at the end of in November where I abseil off this building for charity. But you have to do stuff that scares you, obviously. That's like the whole point of raising money. Heights, I'm not a big fan. I mean, I don't mind it. I've been skydiving. I go on planes. Like, none of that scares me. I don't know. I mean, I feel like sometimes people say things are their fear, and I totally, well, actually, maybe I don't get it because I don't have a big fear. But I think things like heights are naturally meant to be scary to people. Like, it's meant to give you fear, evoke fear so that you protect yourself. But maybe like my fears would be like aliens, like real like aliens abducting me or dark. I get scared of the dark sometimes. I can't lie. I'll do that whole thing where I run and jump and put the covers over my head at night. I don't care. I still do it. If you could rid yourself of one thing in the everyday experience of doing the channel, what would it be? Speaking. I love speaking, but I'm really bad at it. I stumble over my words. I have dyslexia. I find it hard to read out things, to pronounce things. So it'd be good to like be able to do that clearly. I've thought about outsourcing when things are just so hard, because doing 2 videos a week plus this, it is a lot of work. But there's nothing I can outsource on my channel because I can't outsource the editing, because I'm an editor by trade, if you didn't know, which is the marketing I do for Guide Dogs WA. I do videos for them. So I worked in TV, and my background is editing. That's like what I have my like university degrees in, my bachelor's in, and diplomas. So it's kind of stupid if I outsource something that I'm actually trained to do and to pay someone else for that. And because I'm not earning enough to be able to pay someone for a video, like I would actually be losing money. So that doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make sense for anyone else to do my research, because that's the whole thing about informing my own opinion. You know, like it's not my video if I'm not doing the research and if I'm not putting it together and putting together your opinions and the script. So I can't outsource that. And I can't outsource me talking. So there's nothing really that I could rid myself of. I guess sometimes it would be nice to get some help with research and stuff like that, but it's all a process, and I do really love learning, especially when I'm doing deep dives or like looking into franchises. I learn too. So I don't know. I can't rid myself of anything, to be honest. Maybe some editing here and there for help, but I also don't want anyone to look at my raw files of me going pronouncing stuff wrong for like 2 hours. So yeah. Have you ever talked out loud as if speaking to a camera only to realize there isn't ever a camera around? Absolutely not. No, I talk to myself anyway, and I did long before I did this. So I'll be watching a movie and I'll like, oh my God, I can't believe she's doing that. Like I talk to myself like that all the time. Yeah, it was something I did before YouTube, and it's something I do not even when I'm watching horror movies, you know, when I'm at work and a file won't work. I'm like, oh my gosh, why can't it? You know, I just talk to myself constantly. So I don't think it's anything to do with the camera. Have you ever grown to regret vouching for someone in the horror community? I can't say I've ever vouched for someone. I've been an interview on, I'm going to tell you the names as well. So I've been on an interview on Willie Screedier, I know T, right? On his page, and I don't really stand for a lot of the values he has. So, I mean, I don't think it's bad. I don't think anyone ever finds the video. It was a very long time ago. Yeah, I mean, I'm not really connected to a lot of people in that community anymore. I feel like people stopped doing videos, or they just, I don't know, I just wasn't invited to the conversation. So that would be the one thing. And I did a story time a little while ago about a collab. And a lot of people, you guys were scared that you would follow this person. You're not following them, don't worry. But I will say Demented Pictures, who that video was about. Yeah, I would never vouch for them. And I was on their channel once. And I think they were on mine. Also, the reverse, have you ever grown to like someone in the horror community that you did not initially like? Not really, because I give everyone the benefit of the doubt, and I'm not trying to like toot my own horn, but beep, motherfucking beep, if you know what that's from. I'm not trying to say that. I really don't know people off the bat, so it's a process of getting to know them. It's never really the other way around. Yeah, so I don't think so. I really don't think so. I don't really know a lot of people in it as well, but the more I get to know people, the more I like. So yeah, definitely not. What tags do you use for tagging your video? My tags are always in, like if you have, what is it called? Like vidIQ, you can always see my tags. It's nothing that interesting at all, but I'll bring them up for you. Horror film, horror movie, best horror films, movie, horror movie review, movie analyst, meaning, Netflix movie, Shutter movie, Spooky Astronauts. And then I add from there, sometimes if I remember, I add on something that's about, if it's about a review on a film, I add the film's title, the director, some actors. Just depends. I don't always go hardcore on tagging, unfortunately, which, you know, got myself to blame for that. Next question is, how often do you fall asleep while watching movies? Please confirm your answer with Dean if possible. Dean is not here, but Dean and I don't watch movies together too much. And I don't fall asleep anymore. If I want to go to sleep, I just go. But when we first started dating, I used to fall asleep during like watching films all the time. I used to lay my head on his lap and be like, yeah, I'm watching, and then just sleep the entire time. So when that happened, like early on in the relationship, that's when we were both picking films. And there weren't really films that if he was kind of picking one, then I'd go to sleep, you know, but not anymore. Like if you look at my letterboxd, it's majority of films I want to watch. And if he wants to watch something different, we just don't, you know, we watch them on our own time. We've been together for 9 years, so we have a lot of independence in our relationship as well. I don't do everything with him, so not as much as before. Any videos you wish you hadn't made? Yes. I have spoken about this before. I made a series that's called The Real Faces of Horror. I made it with good intentions. It was meant to be, it started off being about, characters in like American Horror Story and then the true story behind them. And then it just kind of changed and it became about murderers sometime or like true crime. And true crime is really scary to talk about because you obviously have to have the facts, but a lot of people disagree within that community about things that actually happened. So I was taking my facts from police reports in some cases, and people were still going off at me about the truth about who that person really is. I talked about like Peter Falconio, which is very controversial apparently, which is absolute fucking bullshit. Like this guy did horrendous things and people still believe that he was innocent. Like he brought a gun to this, and he's in Australia, and they're like, he brought a gun to this, this footy match. And everyone's like, yeah, but I'm like, I don't know how to describe to you guys how like weird that is in Australia. But anyway, so I regret doing them. I've taken most of them down. I just don't think that they're my style either, but it was very early on in my channel. So I was kind of like getting an idea of where I was going with my channel. If I did stay on true crime, I think I would have been much more successful because people in true crime are really successful now. And this was like, 5-6 years ago. So yeah, but I'm glad I didn't because it's just not my kind of thing. I like watching true crime. I just don't like doing it myself. There's a lot more that goes into that and it's not opinion based and the backlash is a lot. So yeah, I don't think I could handle it. I got which horror villain would you marry? I'm not even married yet. So I don't think I'd marry any horror villain. I don't really care for any horror villain like that. If you're asking which I had to marry, I'm just gonna go with Pinhead because like he seems pretty like badass. He seems very loyal. Has there ever been a movie or series that connected with you so much that made you break down and start crying? Yeah, all the time. I cry through every like Pixar movie, but also a lot of horror movies. I cried watching The Office the other day. Like it does not take me much at all. Like I'm not one of those people who claim to not be scared by movies or not be affected by movies. I'm the complete opposite. I'm highly affected by movies. That's why I like watching them because I don't feel emotions in my real life. I'm an Aquarius. But yeah, I've cried on my channel a couple times. I'm pretty sure I cried during my review of Gerald's Game and Room, not The Room. So yeah. How's the wedding planning coming along? I am so glad I had to re-record this because of the sound one day. So hopefully the sound's okay today. But things have changed since I recorded this last and it's actually coming along great. I'm not having a wedding. Yay! I didn't want one and I was really scared and it's just so much pressure, family, money, all that kind of stuff. So Dean and I have decided to do a planned elopement in a separate location, just me and him, and have like a honeymoon at the same time. We're gonna do it in the wilderness, in nature. I don't have to be around people. People don't have to look at me. I don't have to get that kind of attention. I just don't want it. And then when we come back to Perth, maybe a week or so later, we're gonna have a party with people. So it won't be so all attention and eyes on me, which makes my skin crawl. But it's still celebrating it and we're still going to do photography and have all that kind of cool stuff. So I'm excited to do it that way. It takes a lot of stress off me. So yes, it's going well at the moment. I'm looking at venues and with my list of what I have to do, it's so short. So I'm very excited. Have you ever been recognized in public and acted it as if the person recognizing you were mistaken? Absolutely not. I have been recognized. I don't know, recognized. People have seen me and know me from my videos. And I would never pretend like it's such an honor. I feel bad when I meet someone because I want to be like, how do you know me? Like, what do you like? Have you been watching me long? But it feels so like narcissistic to ask those questions. But I also don't want to ask about them because it feels quite intrusive to be like, where do you work? Who are you? Like, so I get like a little bit awkward, but I guess it's something that comes with practice. And I swear I'm getting better at that each time I do it. But I would never pretend to not know or like think that someone's mistaken at all. I love it. If you ever see me, I'm sure if you're a part of the Patreon, let me know if you're around. I'll come and say hi. I'm going to end part 1 here. We've been going for half an hour and my battery is running out. There's more juicy questions coming up in the next one. So I hope you guys liked this part 1. Part 2 will be out next week. I'm sorry for teasing you, but 54 questions. There was no way I was going to get through these all in one video. Thank you so much for supporting me. And I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll talk to you guys very soon. Stay spooky and stay safe. Bye, friends.